Everyone probably had a first love or a first crush, and I'm not exception. Today I want to share my story, how it happened, what I felt back then, what I feel now, and why I'm still grateful for this experience. My name is Maria, and this story will be really long. Let's go! My first quite strong crush happened when I was about 16 years old. Before that, I had crushes on some guys from boys bands. One Direction, BTS, especially EXO, Luhan. I still love you, just know it. But I hadn't fallen in love with a real person in real life so deeply. I won't mention any names. I'll just call him Bug. It's not an insult. His last name in Ukrainian sounds like cockroach, and cockroach is bug, and he was a bug in my life. When I first met, he looked unconventional. He had green hair. I even joked, "Is grass growing in your hair?" That wasn't like evil joke. That was like, "Hey, you look handsome." And he replied, "Yep." This coldness kind of caught my attention. He was so indifferent. He was sociable, but when someone said something to him, he would respond with, "So what?" Of course, I didn't fall for him right away. It wasn't love at first sight. We started bumping into each other too often in the hallway, then met during a PE classes. I had just returned from a medical leave. I was excused from PE, so I sat down the bleachers. We had a class at the stadium. I put out my phone and started editing my book. Yes, I was writing books, and I'll get back to that in the future, but this video is not about that. The group was then really noisy, and I was the only quiet person. And then he pointed at me and said, "Look at her. She's just sitting here writing a book. Take an example." And then I felt really nice. After a series of small situations like that, I gradually realized by the end of the first semester that I had fallen in love. I found him on Instagram, and one day we started chatting. I began to open my soul to him. Honestly, if you read this chat now, you'd cringe enough for a lifetime. Every time I saw him, I would freeze on the spot and my heart would pound like crazy. I remember the moment when he was sitting on the bench in the hallway, listening rock music. I walked up and said, "I like rock music too, maybe we could listen it together sometime." He just nodded, and I thought he would forget about it. I was the group leader or the class president. You can call it whatever you like. Group leader is someone with extra responsibilities. At the end of academic year, I was swamped. I was running a journal to a department, then to teacher, then to other teacher. Oh my god, that was really fast. And also I was delivering documents like a mailman. It went for a month, twice a year. I was really exhausted sitting on the bench, and then I saw him. He handed me one of his earbuds. I still remember the songs we listened to. Despite the fact that we didn't part of good terms, I still like those songs. Strangely, I didn't associate them with him. I remember there was a song by Rammstein,
Du hast mich,
and one by Powerwolf. Yes, we didn't part well, but those songs remind me not of him. They remind me of first studying year when everything was cozy and nothing foreshadowed the chaos caused by the bed, if you remember what I mean. That's when he recommended me anime Kiss Never. I binge watched it and I liked it. Whenever I saw him around, I tried to act colder than I actually am. Maybe he noticed my pretense, or maybe didn't, but as I said, I was in love with him and I couldn't control myself. But when we were alone or texting, we turned into completely different people. When winter holidays and New Year's come, for the first time, he texted me. First, I was thrilled, but then I realized he's drunk. He was really drunk. You didn't need to be a Sherlock Holmes to figure it out. He told me itself that he was drunk. Also, a part of me wanted to believe that he had feeling to me. When the second semester started, I didn't really put myself out there, afraid of scaring him off, but I started dressing more brightly. One day I tied my hair into two low ponytails and walked past him, and he said, "Hello, Mrs. New Hairstyle." That really stuck with me. I know myself, I'm a really proud person, and I took a long time to admit that I was in love with him. But when I finally confessed it to my group, I literally burst into tears. My group knew that I was in love in my bug. It wasn't secret for them because it was too obviously. If you are in love and think you are hiding it well, I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's really visible and everyone will know about it. I'm sorry. Some time passed and unfortunately we started having online classes. I really missed my friends and especially my beloved Bug. And one day at some point I found out that Bug was withdrawn from my college. I was really shocked and I was trying to calm down. And one day something snapped in me and I become overly clingy. When someone leaves college or school, it doesn't matter. And you don't have strong connection yet. There's a risk of losing them forever. I understood that, so I started bombarding him with messages. Genius. But it had the opposite effect. He started to ignore me. He wasn't really friendly with me before, but that time, that was a catastrophe. When we met in real life, he pretended like I didn't exist. Most of the time he was with his friends, and I couldn't talk to him eye on eye anymore. And that's when I started going through a really tough period in my life. In the first year, I was a top student trying to maintain the standards. But because of his behavior, I could burst into tears during the class. It was really awkward. But when I cried 3 times in a row in front of the same teacher, it was triple the awkwardness. I was pissed and I blocked him everywhere. But I kept following him from another account without a profile picture. I wonder if he guessed it was me or not. I will never know about it. Time passed and my condition stabilized. But whenever I heard his name or someone mentioned seeing him with someone, a new wave of emotions hits me. I asked my groupmate thousands of times not to mention his name around me, but she never listened to my request. By the way, I have video about my toxic friendship. If you are interested, link is in description down this video. I couldn't hold myself back, and this went for a really long time. To give you an idea how long it lasted, I was so inspired by it that I wrote a book. Who knows, maybe one day I'll edit it and translate it. It finally let me go after I started seeing a psychologist at our college. Because the situation wasn't letting me go. It was interfering with my life and my studying. Now it seems silly to me, but back then it didn't feel like nonsense at all. I understood with my head it was time to let go, but my heart wasn't listening. It hurt to see him. It hurt to hear his name, even if it wasn't him, even if it was someone who just looked like him. I still felt a surge of emotions. It took several sessions with psychologists to finally let him go. And then I started dating with a childhood friend. Now I understand that I needed to fill my emptiness, so I agreed dating with him. But eventually we broke up too. But we stayed friends. Time passed, and when I realized I didn't feel anything for that person anymore, he messaged me. Hi! Honestly, I didn't save the conversation, but I roughly remember the gist of it. I clearly remember that he texted me while drunk. Again drunk. What? Drunk again? And I was like, "Excuse me, who are you?" And he replied, "Oh, I'm sorry, my profile is private." Then he added, It's me, Bug. Remember me? Bug? Hello? By that time, I felt nothing to him. Even when I saw him on street, I didn't even say hello, as if he would answer me. And then he sent, "Why are you complaining to my best friend that you are still in love with me?" And I was just like, what are you talking about? So I text my groupmate, who was his best friend. What is going on? Why is your friend accusing me? And she answered. He was super drunk and started texting all his exes. Okay, I thought I was just some crazy girl who had crush on him, but apparently I was his ex. Okay then. Sometime later, after I graduated from college, I met one of his new groupmates who told me about him. I started asking how's he going. She told me he had an anger issues. He repeatedly beat girls in her presence. Oh my, that was really a red flag. I thought, thanks goodness I dodged a bullet. Do I regret falling in love? No, we all make mistakes out of foolishness. And besides, love is such a thing, you never know who you'll fall for. And so you'll never know what to expect from this love. If I hadn't fallen in love back then, I wouldn't have written my favorite book. If I hadn't fallen in love, I wouldn't have written a couple of poems that still bring me to tears. One of them I translated. For those who know Russian, there's the original on the screen. Tell me, why did you treat me so? With you it's like we've never met. Maybe your heart turned cold as snow, or from inner coma you haven't woken yet. I've become invisible to your sight, and you, a wall of stone so high, not even a whisper in the night. You weren't always this distant guy, but maybe it's all just in my mind, and you are nothing but a dream. You welcome others, so warm, so kind, yet leave me in the dark unseen. Maybe I don't exist at all, though I live and breathe. I know it's true, reaching out to your lids, to a fall. Alright, I'm leaving. I'll be though. Okay, I'm walking away at least. But before I go, I'll say, you bid farewell to storms long past, and now I'll let you drift away. I've forgotten that December too, and all the walks we used to take. Once I deeply loved you, but now I live with no heartache. The fire burnt out, it lost its glow. I don't love you anymore. I've let the past go long ago. Set sail, you're free to explore. Thanks for watching. See you in next or previous video. Bye bye. See you later.